You can buy the perfect house, sign every document, get the keys, and still not fully own what you think you own if there's a problem with the title. Title insurance is one of those things almost every buyer pays for, but very few people actually understand. Today, we're tackling something that shows up on every closing statement, but rarely gets explained clearly. Title insurance. Before we jump in, today's guest is Kim Hall with Key Title. Kim has spent 35 years in the title insurance industry and is licensed in both North and South Carolina. She's passionate about helping agents and buyers understand the value and importance of land title insurance, which I love because clarity equals confidence in this process. Introducing my guest, Kim Hall. Hi, Kim. How are you today?
Hi, Tabitha. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Kim, today we're going to talk about title insurance, which was a very foreign idea to me when I first got into buying and selling homes. So let's start with, how did you get into this?
Actually, I started with a temp agency. I'd never heard about title insurance, which majority, of people buying real estate do not know about it. The attorney brings it to their attention, but it's never really covered. And when I started, it just got more and more interesting. There were so many avenues in residential and commercial. It's just always driven me, and it's been a passion because we have seen loss, in regards to buyers when they chose not to get it.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that I didn't realize what it actually does. I'm
Yes.
always looking at the disclosures, like truth in lending disclosures and your closing disclosures, and you
Yes.
see title insurance.
Yeah.
And it feels like one of those nickel and dime. They're charging me $500 here, $1,000 there.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start with bare bones.
Yes.
What is title insurance?
Okay, I'll tell you the process. When you get into a contract, your contract goes to your closing attorney. Their paralegal on their staff will go to the records and search what is going on. Who has ownership? Are there any liens? Are there any judgments? If it's coming out of an estate, is everybody signing off? Has everybody been accounted for? Those situations would come out during that search. Then they provide that information of that search to us. We are providing the insurance based off if there was any kind of financial loss or related expenses in the event that there is a defect on that property. So you figure the property lines, we're insuring inside those property lines on any title defects, unpaid mortgages. And the great thing is it's a one-time fee. Nobody usually knows about it. There's no renewal premiums. And I think a lot of times when people do see those fees on a disclosure, because we have gotten phone calls, hey, I don't need this insurance. I've already got homeowners insurance. It is such a separate piece for one time. And the cool thing is if there's a lender involved, the lender gets a separate policy. So majority of the fees that they see on the disclosure are by the lender just to give them the loan and make sure that they are fully insured during the course of that loan. However, the owner's policy, it never expires. So if you do purchase title insurance and then say 5 years down the road, you've moved somewhere else, you get this letter that somebody's trying to sue you on that property, you have that policy, that number to call and somebody to fight for you. We have seen people in claims actually pay out, not getting a title insurance. They have had to pay out more than their investment in that property just defending their rights. So it is really huge, and it's not widely talked about.
I guess that makes sense because unless you're in the process of buying or selling a home, you're not really going to hear about it, or you have a friend who's actively in a title insurance battle, which hopefully if the closing attorney did their job well, then we wouldn't get into.
That's right. And there have been human errors too. It also covers for that as well. I mean, we have had those situations where it just happened, these are years past, I will say that, where it was overlooked, somebody's interest. Put it this way, it was coming out of an estate, and one of the heirs happened to be incarcerated, and they did not go through all the proper protocols. They still have an interest. They still have to sign off. They're still, valid.
Yeah, they're still legally entitled to get that first.
Exactly. They had a right. And what happened is the homeowner came home after they purchased their house, and this man had come up and was telling them, this used to be my family's property. I have an interest. Well, luckily enough, it was, an agent that we worked with They called and were like, okay, everything, they got a policy. That's the first thing we do. Please let this be the one that they got a policy on.
Hmm.
And that is somebody that was able to defend the buyer. They didn't have to worry about their property. You have legal expenses. You have somebody fighting for you, even if it was to pay them for their interest. They work to get all that situated so your property is free and clear of any kind of claims against it.
Okay. That works for like property lines as well, because I do feel like I had a friend back in Virginia and
Yes.
she bought this house and it looked like she had this huge backyard. And then
Yes.
someone next to her ended up going to build and they
Yeah.
started staking out like 3 feet away from her
Yeah.
deck. And it was this
Yeah.
kind of angle. And she was like, "What's going on? This is my property." And they were like, "Actually, it's not." And it was title
Yes.
insurance that ended up coming back and saying, "This was wrong. And
Yes.
here's compensation to make it right." Now, it didn't really make her backyard any bigger, but
Yes. Yeah, and
it did
that's
make
and
her
I
feel
wanna
better.
tell you that's one of the biggest claims always, has always been in title insurance is the survey matter. A lot of times, like you say, a buyer will come up and they're like, "Oh my god, this is beautiful." They think they have all the way back to the woods, not realizing without a survey to match up against that legal description, is they might only have the back patio and don't even know it.
Hmm.
In years past, the worst claim I've ever heard of somebody not getting a survey was it was that type of situation. They put an in-ground pool, beautiful pool house, not realizing they built all that in a power easement. So they came home one day and it had just been all bulldozed because the power people had the right to clear their right of way and they just took it out and they had no compensation because they never got a survey. I will tell you on owner's policy, there is an exception if they choose not to get a survey on the policy that says that we are not, insuring over any property line disputes, any violations, because we didn't have something to reflect.
Yeah.
So when people do get the survey, it's huge. A lot of people think if they buy new construction, the surveyor got one. It's, I'm good. I got to see the plat. Well, you don't know after a house was built, fences were put up. We've had that in
Yeah.
brand new subdivisions. Everything was over each line. That,
I've heard of that too.
the good thing is though too that the policy does help them. I know with Key Title, if there is a claim in that regard, our counsel does do the very best that they can, just doesn't leave them, oh, no, you didn't get a survey, we can't help you. It could have been an error in title somewhere, but you are paying for, that legal representation to go out and see what the whole picture is.
Let's explain what title is and what makes it clear or marketable.
Okay, what makes it clear, like I mentioned, is the title search. And what makes clear title, meaning that you're saying, hey, no, there's no mortgages or everything's been paid off, there's no judgments, all the air, anybody that's had ownership, all the deeds have been signed correctly and conveyed properly, that's clear title.
So we think about that almost as like a car title, but for this piece
Mhm.
of property.
Exactly. If there's a loan on the house, you know what I mean? Or even a car
Yeah.
title, you get a deed, when you purchase the
Hmm.
property. But the title insurance is actually an added protection for the buyer because it could outweigh, the cost of defending that property is yours and no one
Yeah.
else. So I do want to let you know that title insurance insures from the date of the closing backwards. So if something happens after closing, they think they're covered. They are not. That is one thing that is available. There is a after policy product. It is actually an extension to a basic owner's policy. It's only like 20% more on top of the premium, and all that is based off the amount of coverage they're getting. But it's a one-time fee. And it actually has after closing protections. So that is huge as well.
What would be like a before closing protection versus an after closing protection?
All the fraud that is going
Oh,
on.
okay.
Yes, you hear how people are going on creating a deed. It'd be like from you to me, and it's somebody else's property. It's just they're creating all kind of matters. They're taking out loans. This is with, lenders that are not even in the same state as the properties. A lot of fraud going on. Also, in that we call it an enhanced policy for an owner. There are some boundary lines. So say someone did not get a survey. There are some boundary lines protection in there. So there are a couple different options for an owner to get a policy that covers the range that they need.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to be actually doing an episode coming up in the next few weeks with Klein Donaldson Law Firm, and we're going to be
Um,
talking about scams in real estate specifically. Some of the
it's gonna be
stories, man,
perfect.
he was already giving me the lowdown, and
Yeah.
my jaw was on the floor.
And that's a good thing too, is like relationships are big. You know what I mean? Because you need those relationships that you trust. There's integrity behind it because we're there to work together, to give the consumer the best that they can actually have for their purchase. It's a big value depending on who you work with.
Yeah. I mean, I think our goal across the board in these real estate transactions is care
Yeah.
and making sure that we're protecting our clients
Yes.
to the best of our ability. And
Mhm.
that goes from making sure that we're looking at the right houses
Yep.
in the areas that these clients are in love with, to
Yes.
making sure their contracts are done well, to getting them the right insurance across the board. So, yeah, you're just another step in that process, Kim.
Well, good. Hey, I wanted to add something to you. Something the questions that's been coming up by some of the agents for their buyers. They want to know, will they need the title lock that is being advertised? What we wanted to make sure that everyone knows is that is a monitoring system, almost like your home security. Each county in the state of North Carolina offers a free service at the
Mm,
Register of Deeds. So your client has the option either to purchase a title lock so somebody can monitor if something's recorded in their names, call the county where their property is recorded in. There is a free service offered by them that anytime anything is recorded in their name, they will get an alert. Wanted to let you know that that is the other value we like to bring is keeping you updated on,
hmm
what's best for the consumer, even us as individuals, what's out there for anyone to protect themselves.
I will absolutely find all of those links for New Hanover, Pender, all the surrounding
Yes.
little counties here. And I'll
Yep.
link those in the show notes as well, because that sounds like something, if you are listening to this podcast, you
Yes.
should take this bit away from it, at
That's right.
least. I actually took a class on historic homes the other day just for funsies. I've got all of my continuing education already done for the next 18 months, but
Nice.
it was a historic homes class. I love downtown. But I wanted to ask, we talked a lot about different easements, different things that come with these historic homes.
Yes.
Would you say that you see a lot of either claims or big differences from your perspective when it comes to newer homes versus historic?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot more because they do have easements and stuff that run with the land, and they have for like hundreds of years.
hmm
Nobody's going to touch those. They run with the property. We've had some in Southern Pines and Pinehurst, mineral rights, because of oil and stuff
hmm
like that have been out there. So it really depends on that research and everybody using their expertise. And a majority of time, it's not anything that's going to compromise, their interest in that piece of property, but they do need to make aware because you don't know what an individual is going to do. They might want to turn it into something different than what its historical value is.
Yeah. Or build the pool in the backyard and then
Uh,
have it dug up by the
yeah.
electrical company. Awesome. So, historic homes, a little bit more
Mhm.
complicated, but
Yeah.
nothing's impossible. And then new construction, we talked about that briefly, where
Yes.
people might feel like, oh, well, I'm the first person to own this home. Well, technically, the home, maybe, but the builder
That's right.
owned it before you, and the
Right.
developer probably owned it before that.
You're exactly right. I was mentioning earlier that one buyer was a new subdivision. It is true. The developer, then the builder, and then who purchased the home, three different stages. And that is where it came in that during those changes of ownership, that's when the lot lines got messed up. It was a wrong legal description here, wrong and it just got carried on. So you think of that impact of you as a owner. You could just sit still and say, okay, I got somebody fighting for me. Don't have to worry about this right now. Somebody's going to get this fixed.
Yes.
That's huge. Like you said that your friend did. She didn't have as
Yep.
much backyard as she thought. Yeah.
Super true. That was crazy. I think it was a new builder, and I think it was here in Wilmington, where
Okay.
somebody went to go get a fence, and then they had the
Mhm.
survey done at that point for their new
Yeah.
construction home.
Yeah.
And they were like, the fence is technically in the middle of their house, the neighbors. And then it was this huge kerfuffle, because what do you do when there's 20 houses built over everybody else's property line?
Yes.
So
That's exactly
I don't
right.
know the end of that story, but if
Yeah.
somebody comments, hey, figure it out for me, I will.
Well, I was going to tell you on the good side, in the situation I told you about, everybody was willing to work together. Everybody sign off and get all the deeds corrected. Yes, it was a big undertaking. And the expense, of course, that it was on the title companies. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Everybody worked together. But you never know if one of those times it happens, that person may have passed. since
Yeah.
then, and you have an heir saying, well, wait a minute, I might have, then all of a sudden you got the clashing of the heads. So there our situation, of course, everybody's willing to work together. Everything got cleaned up, no loss, and that was fine. But there has been other situations where you do have somebody stepping out that wasn't originally in it and thinking they can make some money off it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that ends up on the individuals. If they are ready to like fight a fight and be
Yeah.
nasty, that's where the title insurance really comes into play
That's right.
when
That's right.
you need to fight the battle.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so rapid fire. Is this a title issue? Old unpaid property taxes.
Yes.
A contractor never got paid for a fence.
Yes.
Ooh.
That's a fire. That's bad. Like,
A misspelled name on a deed.
no, not too bad
No.
because that's a lot easier fix.
Okay. A previous marriage or divorce that wasn't properly recorded.
Uh-huh. That's big. That's fire.
That's a big one. Boundary line disputes
Yes.
and someone claiming inheritance rights. I feel like we nailed this.
Yes. You hit all the hot things.
And then we'll do like a no dumb question. So I feel
Okay.
like a lot of people are afraid to ask questions about certain things because they don't want to come across like they
Yeah.
don't know what they're paying for, or they should know something and they don't. So if the closing attorney checks everything,
Yep.
right? In our heads, it's an attorney. We're paying him anyway.
Yeah.
He's done his job. Why do I need title insurance then?
Because it protects your interest. Because what would happen is if you did not get title insurance and it turned out to be you would have to pay for all the legal fees. You would have to hire an attorney to fight for you over what was missed on the search
From
of
the
the attorney.
previous attorney. So if
Yes.
this attorney messes up, it is now my fault.
That's right. And that's
Got it.
what you would have to come out of pocket. If you don't have title insurance, you having nobody to fight for you. You have to go find a lawyer, not knowing what your rights would be up against that type of situation, depending what was in the transaction. At least a peace of mind for that one-time fee. That's where it you got attorneys that will sit there and fight for you, to get that straight. Yes.
What's something that you wish agents, real estate agents, would explain more upfront about title?
Just the value, just making sure that they understand. Having a quick sheet, well, because I know us at Key, we have a chart just so they know. So you have a peace of mind in your heart. I know that you guys are very passionate about helping people find, their homes and just letting them know of every process and the value of it. And then it is their choice to make. And I think that's the best that you can do.
Well, thank you so much, Kim. This
You're
was so
welcome.
incredibly helpful. I
Thank
hope
you.
everybody listens and takes at least something away, even if
Yes.
it's just go register yourself with the counties to make
That's
sure
right.
that you've got that extra level of protection.
Yes.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. And
No,
we really
thank
enjoyed you
you.
on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Tabitha. I appreciate it. Let me know anytime.
If you're listening and thinking, okay, I need a plan, DM me at the ILM Realtor. I'm here to map out the next steps for buying your home in Wilmington and setting you up with some of the best people in the industry. Until then, thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you around our perfect little city.